Hello students. Today I am here with the next session of chapter number 2 of class 10th science NCERT textbook, that is acids, bases and salts. In the last session we studied the basic properties of acids and bases. We studied about the introduction of indicators. Then we studied the chemical properties of acids and bases. I hope you were clear with the last session. In today's session we are going to study about universal indicators, that is a little detailed study about indicators and salts. So let's begin the session with universal indicators. Indicator is a mixture of a universal indicator. It is a mixture of several indicators. It shows different colors at different concentration of H plus ions in the solution. Now, you all will be knowing, we know that how acid-base indicators can be used to distinguish between an acid and base. We use acid-base indicators to find the difference between whether it is an acid or a base. And we also have learned that dilution and decrease in concentration of H plus and OH minus ions in the solution. Now, what happens, can we qualitatively we have found out that whether it is an acid or a base, but can we quantitatively find the amount of these ions present in the solution, that how much H plus ions or how much OH minus ions are exactly present in that solution? Can we find out, or can we judge how strong a given acid or a base is? If any substance contains acid, but by using the indicator we can just find out that it is an acid, but can we judge that how strong is that acid is? So how will we do? We can do this by making use of a universal indicator. By using universal indicator we can do this, that how much amount of ions are present in the solution and how strong the acid or base is. Which is universal indicator? It is a mixture of several indicators. As I told you just now, that universal indicator is a mixture of several indicators. So it shows different colors at different concentrations of hydrogen ions in a solution. At different concentrations of hydrogen ions, it shows different colors. On the basis of that, we can find out that how strong an acid or a base is. Now, a scale for measuring hydrogen ion concentration in a solution is called the pH scale. As we can see here, that here the pH scale is given. This is a pH scale, and with the help of this we can measure the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution. The P in pH stands for potens in German, that is meaning is power. P stands for power, and H is for hydrogen ion concentration, that is H plus ion. So on the pH scale, we can measure pH generally from 0, which is very acidic, to 14, which is very alkaline. As we have learnt in the last session, that those bases which are very very strong, or which are soluble with water, as we know that strong bases are easily soluble with water, we generally name them as alkali. So here 0 stands for very acidic, 14 is for alkaline. So the pH scale we measure, so this pH is generally from 0 to 14. Now, pH should be thought of simply as a number which indicates the acidic or basic nature of solution. Higher the hydronium ion concentration, lower is the pH value. The higher the hydrogen concentration, lower is the pH value. The pH of a neutral solution is 7. So if the solution is neutral, means the pH will be 7. Value less than 7 on the pH scale represent an acidic solution. The values which are less than 7, they represent the acidic solution. and as the pH increase from 7 to 14, it represents an increase in OH minus ion concentration in the solution. As the value increases from 7 to 14, it represents an increase in OH minus ion concentration in the solution. That is, increase in the strength of alkali. Generally, paper impregnated with the universal indicator is used for measuring pH. Now let's see. As we know that the strength of acids and bases depends on the number of H plus ions and OH minus ions produced. We know that the substances which has or the chemicals which have H plus ions means they are acidic, and the substances which have higher OH minus ions means the substances which contains OH minus ions means they are basic in nature, right? So if we take hydrochloric acid and acetic acid of the same concentration, as if say 1 molar, then these produce different amounts of hydrogen ions. Now we know that hydrochloric acid and acetic acid both are acid, both contains H plus ions, means that is simple, we can identify both are acids, but both contain, though we take same concentration of both the acids, but their H plus ions are different. Acids that gives rise to more H plus ions are said to be strong acids. Those acids which give more H plus ions, they are strong acids, and acids that give less H plus ions are said to be weak acids. The acids which have less H plus ions, they are weak acid. So by this way, with the help of a pH scale, we can identify or we can measure whether the acid, we can judge whether the acid is strong or weak and whether the base is strong or weak. Now in a simple way, if we understand this, that we all know that acids produce H plus ions, means here in this figure it is easily given that the blue colored part, here this blue colored part contains more H plus ions. That means here there is increase in H plus ion concentration. So this is acidic nature. So this we can say that this part is acids. So till 1 to 7 it gives us the pH acid. Here the pH is less and the H plus ion concentration is more. Now here as we go further after 7, the H plus ion concentration decreases, means here more OH minus ion concentration is there. That means this part is basic in nature. Here the basic nature is increasing. 7 is the neutral part. So with this we can understand whether the acids contain more whether they contain more H plus ions or less H plus ions. We can measure the quantity of acids and base with the help of a pH scale. I hope you are clear with the concept of pH. Now, uses and importance of pH in our everyday life. First, our body works between pH 7 to 7.8. That is, living organisms can survive only in a narrow range of pH change. Only a narrow change can be observed in the pH, that is 7 to 7.8. Not less than this, not more than this. Then pH of rain less than 5.6 called acid rain. If the pH of rain is less than 5.6 means it is going acidic. After less than 5.6 means it can be 5, 4.5 means it is becoming acidic. The rain is becoming acidic. So we term it as acid rain, which is dangerous for the living organisms. Then our stomach produce HCl. So we know that it is our stomach produces hydrochloric acid, and it helps in the digestion of food without any harm to the stomach. And during indigestion, the stomach produces too much acid. When there is indigestion, the stomach that time produces too much of acid, due to which there is pain and irritation. And to get rid of this pain and irritation, we use bases such as antacids. Antacids are bases which gives us relief from pain and irritation. It destroys, or we can say it breaks the acids, too much of acids that is produced in our stomach. Then one such remedy must have been suggested by you at the beginning of the chapter, that these antacids neutralize the excess acids. As I told you just now also, that these antacids neutralize the excess acid. It breaks down the acid that is produced in the stomach. If we say magnesium hydroxide, which we generally term as milk of magnesia, it is a mild base which is oftenly used during indigestion. Okay, then tooth decay starts when pH of mouth is less than 5.5. When the pH of mouth goes less than 5.5, it causes tooth decay. Tooth enamel, which is made up of calcium hydroxyapatite, that is, it is a crystalline form of calcium phosphate. So tooth enamel is made up of that, and it is the hardest substance in our body. So it does not dissolve in water, but it gets corroded when the pH in the mouth is below 5.5. As we know that when metals react with acids, so that time it gets corroded. So similar way, this tooth enamel, which is made up of calcium hydroxyapatite, which is the crystalline form of calcium phosphate, so it is very hard, but so that's why it do not dissolve in water. But when the pH of mouth goes less than 5.5, that means it is acidic. So when the pH of mouth goes less than 5.5, that time it starts getting corroded. So that's why bacteria which is present in the mouth start producing acid by degradation of sugar, that is saliva, and the food particles remaining in the mouth after eating. So that's why the food particles, they remain in the mouth only after eating. So the best way to prevent this is to clean the mouth after eating, and using toothpaste which are generally basic. Then for cleaning the teeth can neutralize the excess acid and prevent tooth decay. If we clean the teeth, that is, we learnt in this only that it do not get dissolved in water. So we should clean our teeth now and then. So that's why then it will neutralize the excess acids which is produced in the mouth. Then plant need specific pH for their healthy growth. So plants also need specific pH for their healthy growth. Then so similar way, self-defense by animals also do self-defense along with the plants. So have you ever been stung by a honeybee? So that's similar way. The bee sting, what we say in Hindi is katna. Bee sting leaves and acid. So whenever the bee stings, honeybee stings you, it releases an acid which causes pain and irritation. So it stings and then it moves away, but it continuously releases an acid in our body which causes pain and irritation. That acid is methanoic acid. So that's why we use mild base like baking soda. If we apply baking soda on the bee sting, it gives us relief. And stinging hair of nettle leaves inject methanoic acid causing burning pain. This is also a type of honeybee only, and this also, if it stings, if it injects inside our body, it releases methanoic acid and causes burning pain. So these are the uses and importance of pH in our everyday life. Now let's study about salts. Salt is an ionic compound formed by neutralization reaction. As we have studied this in the last session also, that when acid reacts with base, it produces salt and gives water. So this is how salt is formed, by the reaction of acid with base. So acid plus base gives salt plus water. Salts are generally NaCl, calcium chloride and sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is the usually preferred salt which we use in our kitchen. Then chemicals from salt. Now we will study the chemicals that are formed by salts. Sodium hydroxide, NaOH, can be formed from salt. Salt means using NaCl, using CaCl we can form these chemicals. Bleaching powder, CaOCl2. Baking soda, NaHCO3. Washing soda, Na2CO3.10H2O. Plaster of Paris, CaSO4.1.5H2O, that is half H2O. So let's study about each of these in detail. First is chemicals from common salt. First chemical formed is sodium hydroxide, NaOH, which is caustic soda. So when electricity is passed through an aqueous solution of NaCl, it decomposes to form NaOH. What is there when sodium chloride and water, when they react in the presence of electricity, this sodium chloride and water, they break down to produce sodium hydroxide, that is NaOH, and plus it gives us chlorine plus hydrogen. So here the chlorine which is formed will be formed on the anode part, and the hydrogen will be formed on the cathode part, and NaOH will also be formed on the cathode part. So sodium chloride and water reacts in the presence of electricity. They decompose to form NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide, which is a chemical, plus chlorine plus hydrogen. Now uses of this sodium hydroxide in our everyday life. It is used to make soaps and detergents. Soaps and detergent companies use NaOH for the formation of soaps and detergents. Then used in paper manufacturing. It is used in oil refining, used in PVC manufacture, that is polyvinyl chloride manufacture, and it is also used as pesticides. For the formation of pesticides it is used. Then second is bleaching powder. Another chemical which is formed from common salt is bleaching powder. So it is produced by the action of chlorine on dry slaked lime. So CaOH twice, that is calcium hydroxide, is known as dry slaked lime. So when chlorine is reacted with dry slaked lime, that is calcium hydroxide, it gives us CaOCl2, that is bleaching powder plus water is released. Now use of bleaching powder is bleaching cotton and linen in industries. For making cotton and linen clothes, for bleaching them it is used. Then bleaching wood pulp in paper factories, to bleach the wood pulp, so it is used in paper factories. Then it is used as an oxidizing agent in chemical industries, used as an oxidizing agent. Plus it is disinfecting drinking water which contains some germs, bacteria, minute microorganisms. So this bleaching powder, if it is put in the water, it disinfects the water, it keeps it free from the germs. Third chemical which is formed is baking soda, that is NaHCO3, sodium hydrogen carbonate. So when sodium chloride react with water, carbon dioxide and ammonia, it gives us ammonium chloride plus sodium hydrogen carbonate. So the properties of sodium hydrogen carbonate is it is mild and non-corrosive base. It is non-corrosive base. When it is reacted with any substance or any of the metal, it do not get the substance or that metal do not get corroded, plus it is mild, means it is not that much harmful. Then when it is heated during cooking, it gives us Na2CO3, that is sodium carbonate, water and carbon dioxide. So the uses are, it is an ingredient antacid. As I told you in the previous slide also, that antacid, which is a base, it neutralizes the excess acid which is present in our stomach. So this NaHCO3, sodium hydrogen carbonate, is an antacid which is generally, in the previous slide we learnt that milk of magnesia, which is oftenly used as a base to neutralize the excess acid. In a similar way, sodium hydrogen carbonate is another base which is used as an antacid. It is used in fire extinguisher. To extinguish the fire it is used. And for making baking powder can be prepared by baking soda plus tartaric acid. If we mix baking soda with tartaric acid, we get baking powder. This contains sodium hydrogen carbonate. Baking powder is used in breads and cake to make it soft and spongy. To make the breads and cake soft and spongy, baking powder is used. The main role for making the breads and cakes spongy, why they become spongy? Due to the CO2. So here also used in fire extinguisher. So this carbon dioxide plays an important role, which gives us which is mainly used in fire extinguisher, which is mainly used to extinguish the fire. Another is washing soda. Washing soda is Na2CO3.10H2O. That is, what's the chemical name of this? Sodium carbonate dot 10, that is deca water. Water is hydrate, that is sodium carbonate dot decahydrate, or we can say sodium carbonate decahydrate. Recrystallization. How is washing soda formed? By recrystallization of sodium carbonate. So the recrystallization of sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3. Na2CO3, it is crystallized. It is recrystallized by adding water. We add 10 molecules of water inside Na2CO3, that is known as recrystallization. When it is recrystallized, it gives us washing soda, that is Na2CO3.10H2O. So when 10 molecules of sodium carbonate are added, when 10 molecules of water are added to sodium carbonate, it gives us sodium carbonate decahydrate, that is washing soda. Use of washing soda is very common. It is used in glass, soap and paper industry. Manufacture of borax, that powder which is generally used, which we keep inside the pulses, then especially wheat, so that no germs may catch them, and for it is used for the glass, soap and paper industry, then cleaning agents in houses, and removing hardness of water. We generally put washing soda inside water for washing the clothes, so that it removes the hardness which is present inside the water is removed by washing soda. And fifth chemical which is formed is plaster of Paris. We generally call them as POP. So the chemical name is calcium sulfate hemihydrate, that is CaSO4.12H2O. calcium sulfate hemihydrate, half is hemi. So when heating gypsum is calcium sulfate bihydrate, that is CaSO4.2H2O. We generally name it as gypsum. So gypsum is hard solid mass. When this plaster of Paris is a white powder. Now on mixing this plaster of Paris with water, it gives us gypsum. So when heating gypsum at 100 degrees Celsius, or we can say 373 Kelvin, it loses the water molecule. From 2 water molecules, it loses 1.5, that is half water molecule it loses, and it produces POP. It becomes into plaster of Paris. So in the similar way, this plaster of Paris is a white powder, and on mixing it with water, that is CaSO4 dot half H2O, this is whole plaster of Paris. So when calcium sulfate hemihydrate is mixed with 1.5 molecules of water, it gives us CaSO4.2H2O, that is gypsum. Now, use of plaster of Paris is doctors use to support fractured bones. Now, the bones which are fractured, doctors generally use to heal them. Then for making toys, decoration materials, and for making surface smooth. To make any surface smooth, plaster of Paris is used. So now, with this, we complete the second chapter of our class 10th science NCERT textbook, that is acid, bases and salts. I hope you are clear with each and every concept. Watch the video twice, and if any doubts, you are free to ask. Thank you and have a great day.